thread going on in the VC. Show 10 records that are so obscure you're the only one who owns it in the VC. This is silly. As Vinyl Richie was saying, that's basically almost all my records. Not really. Yeah, this is an obscure record. This is Brazilian artist, Brazilian record. Lelo Nazario, Discurso aos Objetos, Balada Unidimensional. This is yeah, Brazilian pressing. This is from the early 80s, I believe. Yeah, this track is from 1978. No, 82, 1982. There's two tracks. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, comes with yeah, Brazilian insert about the musicians. But yeah, I got so many records like that, which is fun. But I mean, this topic, this thread is. At first, I thought like, nah, I'm not gonna partake. This is like the most expected thing. But yeah, everyone is taking part, so I'm not special. I can be part of it as well. And I mean, a lot of people were showing special editions of records, like a test pressing, a white label or something like that. I mean, pressing records, I got tons of these. I got test pressings of records that have never been released. I got test pressing of different mixes of stuff that like, yeah. I got yeah, records that are not supposed to exist, so no one really is after them because no one knows they exist. Color variants that don't exist. But so I thought I'd go with some more normal stuff in a way. But I'd show some other format actually for once. Some cassettes. So my favorite band in pop, rock, etc. is Pram, a band from Birmingham. They released most of their catalog on first on Too Pure, in my opinion the best rock label of the 90s, then on Domino, and they had a few releases too on their own label, Howl Record. The first one was their first release, and the second one was this, Perambulation, which is a bunch of unreleased tracks, some tracks that got released later, and a track that it's not even credited here exactly, but there's a Mouse on Mars remix of one of the tracks, and that one has never been reissued in any ways because Perambulation has been reissued as a CD. But a couple of tracks were missing, including this amazing mix by Mouse on Mars, German duo that were also on Too Pure. Very avant-garde electronica. So this, I didn't hear about this in the pre-internet days, but when I heard about it years later, yeah, that became a huge grail for me. Eventually I got it, and I'm so happy I have a cassette recorder just for this. Another cassette that is pretty fun, Eurowarp. A cassette compilation from Warp with the original custom color, the Warp purple that was designed specifically for the label. In 1996 they did a tour of Europe, with some of their artists, and they had 4 dates, mostly in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Germany. Yeah. And the first 100 people who got in the venue got a free gift, which was this. And this contains unreleased tracks by Otaker, Freeform, Rack, B12 and Mara Calyx. And these tracks are so good. It's just a little piece of warp history, but also actually, yeah, it features really good music. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't think anyone in the VC has this, but maybe it would be good. A fun cassette that got reissued as a vinyl years later. These were like the only edition of these records originally. Well, the Warp cassette, it doesn't exist in any other format even later. So this Rough Cuts Spectre. Spectre is New York musician. His name is Keys Fernando, and he ran the label Word Sound that was very instrumental in bridging hip-hop to more different scenes. I mean, he released records from Prince Paul, from De La Soul, but also he championed former members of the Jungle Brothers, such as Sensational. But he also released stuff from Bill Laswell, etc. And he wrote a great book about hip-hop history. And this is him at his most hip-hop, but also like kind of industrial hip-hop. If you're into stuff like Dalek, this is kind of the blueprint of it. And comes in this, it came in a limited cassette that had different designs. I think there were 6 or 7 different designs. It comes also with a special place to put your rolling paper if you're into that stuff. Here's a weed trading card. And of course, the cassette. And yeah, it's a pretty great instrumental avant-garde hip-hop record. Now something more recent, hardcore soul. Featuring photos by Eve and Spencer, and a conversation between Evan Spencer and Mark Leckie. Evan Spencer used to document the mod scene in the UK when it was happening, and Mark Leckie is, well, the greatest musician of the past decade, in my opinion. He's a conceptual artist, musician who deals with sociology, the past, history, underground culture, etc. And yeah, he does great records. And this is a collaboration with Gabber Eleganza, a musician from Italy who references the old Gabber techno scene from the early mid-90s and has recreated it in a completely new way. It's almost avant-garde music, but it's the most dumb music in a way. And basically this book is making parallels between different kind of youth cultures, and it features a cassette of a creation by Gabber Eleganza, and this was released in a 50-copy edition. So the VC is not that into electronic music, and not that into techno, and even less some of the most fringe regions of dance, electronic dance music. But this is a great book and great package. Yeah, and I'm very happy I got this. now to actual records, but to stay somewhat in a similar region. Let's just show Disco D. This is the original pressing, but it had two original pressings. This too. So this is from 1986, from Larry Heard, under the name Disco D. So this is one of the very earliest house records. I mean, house really started in '85, and Larry Heard is one of its probably top 5 names, but probably the most consistent in quality. This is a Tool record. It's just 808 drum machine from Roland patterns or jams, which is great for DJs to mix with other stuff. And I met Larry Heard a few times. One was in my during my radio show back in the days, and I played some. We were doing like a survey of his work career, and I played this, and he looked at it and he started to have a smile, because he told me that that was the copy he gave to Galaxy Shelby, another great Chicago acid house producer, one of the very best in my opinion. And back then it was very custom to black mark the information, so that other DJs who would come and look at what you were playing, they wouldn't know what it was. So he knew instantly it was him, because he gave that record to him and then he just marked it in front of him or something like that. And yeah, it's a record that is very dear to me, because this was the culmination of what I was after from Larry Heard's music, and which is body music that talks to my hips and shoulders rather than to my head or my heart or whatever. So yeah, the VC is not that much into house music, but also just this copy, it had a fun story behind it, that every time I see this record, the story is attached to it. Another house label that is very dear to me, also one of the earliest, which is Rockin' House. It's a label that has very few releases, 16 if I remember correctly. But there are some kind of quirks. This is Rockin' House 010, 011, 012, etc. This is Rockin' House 009, Homeboy by Derek Jones. This is the white label test pressing, featuring on one side the Radio Club and Chicago Piano Mix, produced by Rodney Baker, the guy who owned the label. And on the B side you got the a cappella, the drum dub, and the New York Piano Mix. This was never released. It was released as a 4-track version of this. 2 of these tracks exist nowhere else but on this record. That was only a test pressing, not just a white label. They did maybe 10 of these or something. And this was not in the Discogs database when I purchased it from someone online. And when I got it, I had no idea what it was, and because it wasn't the record it was supposed to be. Well, it was just more than that. And well, you can look it up now on Discogs. It's interesting to see what people are thinking of this. Next, yeah, a record I've already shown that is also very dear to me. Well, this is Seafields' debut album, Kike, on 2 Pure, like Pram. I had a dear friend, I mean, he's still alive and great, Emmett Ramirez from the West Coast in the US. Him and I shared a love for this kind of music, and we were pen pals, and we helped each other with references. And at one point, he learned about the existence of a test pressing of that album, and he managed to get it, and we lost touch. And then someone was selling it on eBay, and it was him, and I got it. So this was a test press in the truest sense. According to the band, there's only 5 of these, which is the same album but with a different track listing. There's 1 track that is not on the final album, and 3 tracks that are featured in different mixes, longer, different versions. So yeah, this is pretty much one of my favorite records, and yeah, this is unlikely anyone else has it, but I mean, it's not that important. Next, yeah, a record that is not the original pressing, not even necessarily the best pressing, as I think it's a budget version of it. Not really, but it's an Italian issue of Mew from Don Cherry. It's from back then. What's interesting with it, apart from it being one of the best Don Cherry records in my opinion, is that when I got it, I didn't even notice, but this is Don Cherry's signature, and this is him with the trumpet. He made a little drawing on this and signed it. I didn't get it from him, and it was just the seller didn't even see that on the record. I saw that, and I can say, well, I wouldn't necessarily have paid much more for it because of it, but I'm glad I did get it, because Don Cherry has become a much bigger figure in my own personal pantheon. Anyways, I'm still, by the way, after the double LP featuring Mew 1 and Mew 2 on Big. What else? This is a fun record. I think I might have shown it before, I'm not sure. This is Tristan Cary from the UK by Australia, by way of Australia. He's originally from the UK, and he's been doing avant-garde music since the mid-60s, if I remember correctly. He was doing weird stuff like this. This is also pretty obscure, I guess. I like that on this he already has like a map of a system of how the music was made. But he took it further with this, which is his magnum opus in my opinion, even if it's a complicated record to listen to. Oh, by the way, he did some soundtracks for like sci-fi shows for the BBC in the 70s. Live performance electronic music by Tristan Cary, trios. So why is it trios? Because, well, here you have a picture of the whole crew performing it, and here you insert the record and the booklet, which explains to you how this is supposed to be played. Yeah, instructions how to play a record. So basically, here is it. Pickup, a synthesizer, and another pickup. And you got different tracks on the record. So here's how you're supposed to set it up, etc. And then you use a dice, or 2 dices by the way. And there are 11 different patches. 11, or no, I don't remember exactly, but there is one for each result you get from the dice. And you can alternate. So you alternate the settings, etc. So yeah, I got the record back then, and it's great, but it was difficult to, like, it was frustrating to figure out that, like, this is not the ultimate way to get this, and I struggled to get that record. So I managed to get a second copy of it without the whole booklet, so I can have 2 copies of it, so I can play the different, on the 2 turntables, the different the different patterns that are offered here. And there's actually 16 of them. Yeah. So that record, I've only seen it once with the booklet, and I know quite a few people who are after it, and it's a difficult record to reissue as well, because the whole concept is very exciting, but it's frustrating as well if you don't have a synthesizer with oscillators and 2 turntables and 2 records. But it's a fun record. What else? Yeah, next is an interesting record by Apex. Let's check it out. Apex is a member of Nurse with Wound, of the live band, and he's part of some records of Nurse with Wound. So this was released on Beta Lactam Ring, label from Portland, if I remember correctly, and they did a series of 6 LPs called the Records Are Not for Baking, if I remember correctly. And like, if you subscribed to the whole series before it was advertised, before it was produced, sorry, it was kind of a pre-order of sorts. You had to send money. You would get a companion LP for each of the LPs of the series. And so this is the Pereclucheni by Apex, which is Matt Valdron. And so for the 121st people who pre-ordered it, you got a bonus LP. By the way, this is his own artwork, kind of Jim Woodring or David Jackman-ish thing. He has an obsession with moles, the animal. It's a great record, but look at you saw the picture disc of the limited 220 copies complimentary LP. The other records I got from the series were just regular limited records, but this one took it to another level. This is an original piece of art on gold paper made by the musician, artist, designer. It's pretty dope. The packaging is great. You see, you got like a passepartout cover type. Here you get the whole, the series, all the bands from the series. The Friday Group, Apex, La Société des Timides, À la Parade des Oiseaux, Brunnen, Christus and the Cosmonauts, Nurse with Wound with Aranos, which was the reason why I got this in the beginning, but I'm so happy I did get this. And there's only 120 of this, and there's only one of this because it's an original piece of art in a very cool format, inks on golden paper. The texture is pretty great as well. This was not expensive, by the way, and I think few people noticed because there were still copies floating around on Discogs. Last I checked at the very decent price, something like $40 or something. And the album is pretty diverse. So. And lastly, because of course, Nurse's Wound. Yeah, we were only supposed to show 10 records, so here it is. This one is, I don't know if I've shown it before, maybe in some streams. So this is Stereo Wastelands. 30 copies, which is a collection of musical debris from the original Who Can I Turn to Stereo sessions, which is one of my top 5 albums from Nurse's Wound. This was only released on vinyl in an edition of 30 copies, and it's not really a vinyl, it's an acetate. So you got the acetate smell, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, it smells very chemical, and it's a metal plate with a lacquer coating on it, so it's very heavy, and it gets very cold in winter and very hot in summer, so you need to keep it in a very temperature adjusted room. And yeah, this lived up to my expectations when I got it. I love the original Who Can I Turn to Stereo album that was only released on CD back then. So that was the only way to get something from that on vinyl. By the way, this is Matt Valdron, whom we're listening to, as he started to collaborate with Nurse's Wound back then. Here's Sleazy from Coil, Stephen Frower from Cyclope, Unique Azure and Coil. Who else? Yeah, John Balance from Coil. Yeah, Stephen Stapleton is here, I believe. Yeah, David Tibet from Current 93. It's a pretty cool record. Anyways, that's it. That was like 10 records. I assume the VC doesn't have. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit silly, but yeah, it was fun, and I hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of my usual direction, so it wasn't really difficult to choose records of. But okay, like some people have good collections of more left field music, for sure. But I could have done that with punk, with classical music, with chanson, with jazz, with hip hop, with world music or whatever. But yeah, it's records. Talking about records, it's always fun, isn't it? So I put the link of the original channel who started the thread there, because I think he did like a playlist of the videos following the thread. You might have fun there. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye.